And we are live, ladies and gentlemen. We want to welcome everybody back to the third episode of the Trash Talk Podcast. My name is Barringer Hollywood Bonds. I got my co-host back with me, Larry Cowan.
I am here.
He's here, guys.
I made it.
Yes, sir. So listen, today we got a very, very special episode for you guys.
Yes.
But before we get into that, listen, y'all. From the bottom of our hearts, we want to say thank you. We've been getting tremendous response. We've been getting amazing feedback. We've also gotten some hate. We've also gotten some negative comments. But you take the good with the bad, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's to be expected.
Of course.
Comes with the territory.
Absolutely. Now, one thing we do want to say, guys, thanks for the views. Thanks for the likes. Again, we need those likes up. So if you could, just thumbs up the video. You know, give us a comment in the YouTube section. Share it. Subscribe. Everything.
It only takes 1 second to push that like button. We need it. Yes. Thumbs up, please. I mean, if you're watching this right now, just take that 1 second. It won't hurt. I promise.
That's it. Just one. All right. So today, guys, what do you know about
the Mandela effect?
The Mandela effect. Talk to me, Smoke.
Well, it's not necessarily about Nelson Mandela, is it? Although it started with Nelson Mandela's death.
Okay.
Well, in the beginning, it started because Nelson Mandela died in 2013.
Okay.
And with that, there was this outpour of people who believed that he died in the 80s in prison.
In prison.
Yeah.
What it was Africa. What was it? Johannesburg?
Yeah, you may be right.
Guys,
I should have researched that, man. I didn't know we were going to bring that up.
This is trash talk, but
yeah.
What he's saying, okay.
We just riffing right now.
Basically. All right, so the Mandela effect, for people who don't know, is a collective of people in, I guess the large masses of people generally have an idea of something that happened.
Yes.
Now, when you go back a few years, maybe a few months after that particular event happened, or that's on your brain that you remember,
yes,
somehow altered.
Yes.
I guess let me give one of my examples, I guess.
Okay. All
right, so here's one big Mandela effect for me. John F. Kennedy got shot, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you see the Zapruder film?
Yes, yes.
Okay. When he got shot, how many seats were in that car?
Oh, man. You know what? I want to say it was 4, but I think there was 6.
Okay. I wasn't around when he got shot. I think it was 1976. Actually, I want to say 67.
Uh-huh.
Okay. All right, so 1967, but I vividly remember watching the Zapruder film, and on the Zapruder film, I remember there being 2 guys in the front seat.
Yes.
His wife in the back.
Yeah.
And then
he's on the back right, on the passenger side.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So I remember there being 4 seats.
Yeah.
You watch that video now?
Yeah, exactly.
There's 6 seats.
See, man, I wish I would have gone into that cold, but I had seen that before, that, you know, there are 6 seats for some reason. But
right.
Yeah, I vividly remember seeing the video, and you know, his head explodes. His wife jumps on the back, grabs a piece of his skull, shoves it on there.
Wait. She did that?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you watch it, his head pops off the back, like a piece of his skull pops off, and she freaks out in the moment, grabs that piece of his skull and tries to put it back on his head.
See, that's part of the Mandela effect for me, guys, because I remember, okay, they're driving, you know, they're waving, and actually, if you watch the video, he does like a little cough, and with that cough, she looked at him and she was like, "You all right?"
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, it's just pow.
His melon popped
everywhere, and and you might be right. You're saying that she grabs a chunk of his skull.
Yeah.
But in my mind, I remember her hopping out the back and trying to like run, you know?
Really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But
no, she stayed in the car from everything I've seen. I mean, but You know, the weird thing is,
What's
I
up?
mean, this is not even the Mandela effect. This is going to get into another episode somewhere.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
His head pops off the back, but he got shot from the back. Wouldn't he be getting shot from the front if his skull blows out the back?
Well, you know that. All right, let's just do it real quick. I know, guys. I know we jump. I'm sorry.
We got to get into it.
How many shooters do you think?
I think 3.
3 shooters.
At least 2. I mean, I can't believe the one guy. I mean,
Oswald.
Yeah, Lee Harvey Oswald.
Right.
I can't believe he pulled off that much devastation in just a matter of seconds.
From one shot, right?
Yeah. And they gave the whole bullet theory where it goes into JFK and then through the front seat and then somehow it ricochets and comes out the guy's gut or whatever. Like, it just doesn't make sense. The one bullet theory or whatever.
And there's actually a magic bullet theory. I don't know if you've ever heard that. But if you guys ever have shot something, I've been hunting once in my life. One time. I'm half white, and the white side of my family, they are redneck to the T.
I ain't even white enough to be hunting, man.
Dude, I swear, I think Larry here has a little bit of Muslim in him somewhere.
Maybe.
But what I do know this from ballistics. I know that when you shoot a bullet, and that bullet hits bone, I want to say it's at the Smithsonian or some kind of museum in Dallas to where he got shot, but there's actually a fragment of the bullet that the majority of the people can go see. You know, that bullet's intact. If you shoot something,
it's gonna mangle the bullet.
Exactly. There's no way that bullet's gonna be intact to when it hits bone and then ricochets.
Yeah.
So in my opinion, I think not only was Lee Harvey Oswald responsible for shooting him from this book suppository or whatever it's called, but also I think there was somebody behind him.
Yeah.
And I think the driver had something to do with it.
Possibly. Wasn't it the driver that got hit also, though? Or was it the guy in the other seat, in the passenger seat? But then there was the people in the middle somehow.
See, that's the Mandela. Okay,
man, I wish oh man, when we get in, we're gonna get into that on the episode, and I'll research it again because, I haven't really looked it up lately, but we need to do that.
See, we'll have to get into that. But back to the Mandela effect. Basically, I remember there being 4 seats. If you guys go back and watch the Zapruder film, there's 6 seats.
I was assumed. I mean, it's not like I was counting the first time I watched because I didn't know about the theory at that time, but. Yeah, I always knew that it was 4 seats, but somehow there's actually 6 seats. It was stretched out. It was a limo,
So give me an example of one of your first Mandela effect experiences.
Oh, well, the big one. The big one is not Mandela himself, but the big one is...
Don't say Berenstein Bears.
The Berenstein Bears. Did you not call it the Berenstein Bears?
I to this day I call it the Berenstein.
Yeah, me too. I've never said Berenstain.
Nah.
Other than in this context.
Right.
But yeah, I remember my first grade teacher calling it the Berenstein Bears. I remember every kid that read the book calling it the Berenstein Bears.
Yeah.
How could everybody read Stain and say Steen? Is that possible?
So is it
for everybody to do it?
Is the spelling? How do you spell Berenstein?
Stein.
Berenstain Bears.
But it's really Stain.
Yeah,
Berenstain.
Okay, so they're saying it's Stain or
so it's not Jewish, apparently.
Okay.
It's Stain. Staин.
I remember Berenstain Bears.
You do?
I'm sorry, Berenstein Bears.
Yeah.
And the reason I remember that is because my name is Behringer. My mom would read these books to me.
Yeah.
And this is the Berenstain. To me, from what I remember, Berenstein was the proper enunciation for that word. Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I remember my teachers specifically saying that. How did we all go for so many years and never noticed that we were all pronouncing it wrong until the Mandela effect happened?
Exactly. Now, a lot of people, what they're saying, this is just a theory, and this is actually a theory that I subscribe to, Larry. Well, let me ask you this: do you believe in deja vu? Have you ever experienced?
Oh yeah, many times. I remember as a kid, I used to keep track of my deja vu experiences.
Like
not really knowing what they were.
Right. Like a journal?
No, just in my head.
Oh, okay.
I remember like I would just see something happen in my grandma's kitchen and be like, "Oh man, I've seen that before." You know?
Dude, that's so crazy you say that, man. I actually had a deja vu effect the other day, but we're getting off topic.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm saying is a lot of people generally think that the Mandela effect is usually somehow connected to a parallel universe, or some people actually say, well, you dreamt this before and now it's actually happening, but generally the popular opinion of the Mandela effect is actually a parallel universe. What do you think about that?
I believe it's possible, because I believe there possibly are parallel universes going on, at all times. And whether it's us tapping in somehow mentally tapping into this other universe, or somehow we've connected to another universe, or I guess that's saying the same thing, but it all goes back to the simulation theory.
Oh, wow. You're right. You got a good point. Now, they you have three, or not necessarily parallel dimensions, but you have, as us living on Earth, we can experience 3 dimensions. Am I correct?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Okay, so you have the first dimension. You explained this very well. If you could please explain the first. You have the paper.
Yeah. Well, if 2 dimensions would be a flat surface, like if you're looking at something on a paper. Say if you had a drawing on a paper, those characters that you just drew on the paper are in 2 dimensions. Right. And let's say those characters could interact with each other. They can only see each other and what's around them on that paper. But if we were to come and look at that paper, we're in the 3rd dimension. We can look down at them, but they can't see us because they're only in 2 dimensions. Now, there's possibly a 4th dimension out there. Okay. Of people that are watching us. And we can't see them.
Okay, so could there be a 5th dimension of somebody watching them? Yeah. And so on and so on.
Yeah, and an infinite number, who knows?
Wow, that's so crazy when you think about that. With me, dude, I have had dreams to where they're so vivid. They're so vivid. And
lucid.
A lucid dream.
Yeah.
And basically, I would wake up maybe a week from now, and that would play out so much. And some people would actually call that the parallel universe you experienced.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you an exact moment. It's happened more than once, probably 3 or 4 times that I can remember right offhand.
Right.
I remember I had this dream one night. Must have been 10 years ago or less, maybe 8, 9. I'd say 10. I had this dream that I went by this Shell gas station. It's the one in Porterdale, if you know which one I'm talking about.
Porterdale.
It's the one across from the Burger King. But I went by that station in my dream, and gas was 4 cents a gallon for some reason in this dream. And I was like, holy hell, it's 4 cents a gallon. I've got to come back and buy some gas there.
Yeah.
So I went on about my day, came back, still in this dream, went back, and the gas had rose up to a normal price at that time in real life,
Interesting.
And so, the dream was over. That day, I went by that gas station.
Okay.
And I looked at the price. It was the normal price.
Wow.
So I went about my day, came back by that gas station to buy gas later that day, and it had rose by 4 cents a gallon.
4 cents?
Yes.
Dude, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's I vividly remember that because it was so weird and coincidental.
So, okay, we spoke about the Berenstain Bears.
Yes.
Berenstain, whatever you guys want to call it. Have you ever heard the Forrest Gump one? Have you ever heard that one?
Maybe. Explain.
Okay, and everybody remembers, Mama always told me life is like a box of chocolates.
Yeah, I've heard this one.
Okay, but if you actually go back, I remember him saying, Mama always said, life is like a box of chocolates. You'll never know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
If you go back and watch that movie, he specifically says, Mama always said life was like a box of chocolates. I mean, guys, I can tell he was sitting on the bench. There was a lady sitting next to him. He had a thing full of chocolate.
Mm-hmm.
Life is like a box of chocolates.
Yes.
I mean,
that's what I remember. Life is like a box of chocolate. And everybody said it that way.
Yeah.
Are we remembering wrong?
Or is there a parallel universe?
Yeah. What did Darth Vader say to Luke?
Luke, I am your father.
But he didn't.
Yeah, if you go back and no.
Yeah, no, I am your father.
It's crazy, man.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, there's so many examples of the Mandela effect that we can give you.
Mm-hmm. I've got a few more if you want me to
Yeah,
pull
man,
them
throw
up.
them out. I'm trying to think. There was another one. The big one, dude.
Sinbad.
Dude, you took it out my mouth. That's crazy. Sinbad.
Yes.
Okay, has he ever been in a genie movie?
I remember it. I do.
Never happened.
No.
You say it did?
I remember Kazam with Shaq, and I remember a genie movie. Now, I don't specifically remember it being Shazam, but I remember Sinbad being a damn genie in a movie.
See, I never remember. I don't remember that. I remember Shaq being in a movie called Shazam.
Is that what? No, Shaq was in Kazam. Now, the theory is that Sinbad was in Shazam.
See, he's from one parallel universe. I'm from another
Maybe.
parallel universe. Or our brains have somehow gotten tangled up.
Yeah.
But
maybe, here's my thoughts on it. Maybe, you know how scientists say there's infinite number of possibilities of things happening throughout the universe? Like, the universe is so big that everything can be replicated right down to me and you sitting right here, you know, doing a podcast together.
Right.
In a faraway planet, you know, billions of miles away.
Right.
Is there like this interconnecting web that maybe we could tap into? Is there like this interconnecting web throughout the entire universe?
Right.
That somehow we can tap into with our brains? Whether it be through, you know how we were talking about DMT in the first episode?
Ah, that's an interesting theory.
Yeah. You know that our brains makes DMT on its own. We don't have to actually put it in there. We can actually make dimethyltryptamine in our brain.
Right.
It's naturally occurring.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they say it actually comes out when we're sleeping.
Yeah, yeah. Especially right before you sleep. I mean, that's what it gives you, that drowsiness, and then you fade away. And, you know, it basically creates the dreams for you or helps you go into that dream state.
Wow, that's interesting. You know, okay, we talked about the Darth Vader. We talked about the Berenstain Bears. Talked about Forrest Gump. We talked about Shazam.
Yes.
You got another one? There's a
a big one is Snow White.
Okay. Well,
You ever heard that one?
No. Go ahead. I've never heard it. Let's hear it.
What did the evil witch say to the mirror?
Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all?
No. She actually said magic mirror on the wall.
No way.
Apparently. I always remembered Mirror, Mirror. I mean, I remember an album by Twisted being called Mirror, Mirror, and it was basically that concept. But
wow, that's crazy.
Someone's going to make a whole album about it and then realize later on that didn't even exist.
Man, I vividly remember her looking into that mirror
and saying,
mirror, mirror on the wall. Yeah.
I mean, you can look up the clip right now. Go to Google. Look it up.
Right.
She says magic mirror on the wall.
That's freaky.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's some kind of parallel universe or something that's just maybe I don't know, man. Maybe it's just some unaware consciousness that the human population or the human race is just going through, that it's just shifting our brains, you know? It's or it could be time travel, dude.
Yeah.
I mean,
could be CERN.
Okay, I've heard of CERN. Wait, is that like the weather modification thing? Or?
No, well, I think that may be one of the experiments they do there. But CERN, Switzerland, they built this Large Hadron Collider.
Right.
This is all for quantum physics. You know, they send protons through this giant, like 3-mile loop or whatever it is. And they speed them up to the speed of light, and then crash the protons into each other just to see what happens. And
hold up, they're taking protons,
yes,
neutrons,
yeah,
spinning it around,
shooting it through this giant tube that runs underground below CERN, Switzerland,
just to see what happens.
Yeah, just to smash them into it and to see what happens. Yeah,
what happens? I mean,
well, the theory was maybe they would create a black hole and suck the entire Earth into it.
Wow.
And suck the entire universe into it. Who knows? I mean, who knows what could have happened in those experiments? Because they've been doing those for a while now. I remember when they were going to fire up the Hadron Collider.
Is that what it's called? The Hadron?
The Large Hadron Collider.
Hadron. Interesting.
Yeah, you can Google it.
I'm actually glad that you're bringing up some topics, because the past two, we were talking about. Well, the first I was describing my methadone experience, and then the second, guys, I'm sorry, but the Earth is flat. I was adamant about that, and he's like, bro, you're tripping, right? Yeah. But now he's bringing in. I'd never heard of this.
You never heard of the Large Hadron Collider?
Never, dude. Educate me.
Well, I mean, that's basically what it is. It's the scientists, they're physicists, they're quantum physicists. And, they're shooting protons through this thing at the speed of light and crashing them into each other just to see what happens. And no one knew what would happen before they did it. Right. And, to us, just the lay people, we don't know what happened when they did it that transported us into an alternate dimension, or that collided two dimensions,
right,
or two alternate universes.
Yeah.
I
mean, that's a really good theory, man. There's just it's too many people out there right now that have the same collective memory of, I remember this happening, or I know for a fact that happened. With the Darth Vader thing, you know how many people walk around and just say, Luke,
yeah,
I am your father.
Exactly. And Silence of the Lambs. Good morning, Clarice. What did he say? Clarice?
Okay, hold on. I've never heard this one.
Hold on. What did he say? Because it's been so long since I've watched Silence of the Lambs, but I looked that up, and
you're talking about when Jack Nicholson
he
busts through the door.
No, that's The Shining.
Oh,
Silence of the Lambs. What is his name? Hopkins.
Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So the detective walks in to interview him, and he says, "Hello, Clarice."
Okay.
But he didn't say that, apparently.
What did he say?
I think man. You got me now. I just looked this up.
Yeah, guys.
All right, that was a shitty example. This is bad radio right now, but
hey, that's why it's called.
Look that one up on your own, because apparently that's a good one, and I'm not that big on Silence of the Lambs, so.
I heard it's a phenomenal movie, but guys, this is trash talk.
I had heard "Hello, Clarice," many times, but apparently that's not what he said.
Okay. Any more good examples you can think of?
Apparently, the whole thing started with Captain Kangaroo dying in 2005.
See, that's interesting you said that, Smoke, because the first time I ever heard of the Mandela effect is Nelson Mandela. Actually, a lot of people have a memory that he died in prison. When did Nelson Mandela die? 2013?
2013.
Okay, and
after he was president
of South Africa. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so a lot of people have memory that he actually died in prison.
Yeah.
In South Africa.
That's the way I thought I rememred it.
I remember that vividly, dude.
Yeah. As a kid, I remember hearing that in elementary school, that he died in prison.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy that how many minds actually are thinking the exact same thing. And then when you go back and look at the facts, it's just, completely different,
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's also Jiffy peanut butter.
Don't tell me. Hold on. Okay, do tell me. Wait.
Jiffy peanut. You know Jiffy peanut butter?
There's no such thing, right?
No.
It was only like in The Simpsons.
Well, it was Jif.
Jif. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But apparently people remember it as Jiffy peanut butter, and that never existed. I think because I don't think I really remembered it as Jiffy. Maybe they got it mixed up with Jiffy Lube and Jif peanut butter. I don't know.
Dude, there's so many. It's crazy because it's all escaping me right now. But there's a bunch that I remember, and they're just not coming to me right now.
Yeah, the Monopoly guy.
Okay, let me get on that one. The Monopoly guy. That's so crazy. We were talking about this today. Everyone seems to remember, and I think his name is Mr. Moneybag or something like that.
Yeah.
But everyone seems to remember the Monopoly guy having a monocle.
Uncle Moneybags.
Uncle Moneybags. It's called a monocle, right?
Yes.
Yeah, everyone seems to remember him having a cane and a monocle.
Mm-hmm.
Go to your cabinet, guys. Go to your basement. Go to your attic. Go pull out a Monopoly game board. He has no monocle.
No, not at all. I thought he did.
Dude, I remember him having it.
Yeah.
It's just crazy, man.
It is.
You know, we want to put a wrap here on the Mandela effect, guys, because we do want to get into some current affairs. You know, this being trash talk, you know, we want to talk about everything from politics. Like we said in the first episode, politics.
We know more than just drugs.
I promise you we do. So, Smo, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Right now, there's something going on in the news about Christmas time coming up. Happy holidays, everybody. Christmas coming up, and a lot of these stores are basically making it to where these kids are buying gender-specific toys. And let me explain.
Gender neutral.
Gender, I guess that you would call it that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Non-specific.
Yeah. Now what?
Non-binary.
Yeah. So with basically what that means is a little girl goes into Walmart and says, "Mommy, I want a Barbie."
Mm-hmm.
She goes and buys that Barbie. Now, when me and you were kids, Barbie, you know, had a curve to her.
Yeah, she looked like a female. Yeah.
But now when they go in there and go buy a Barbie,
there's no boobs.
No boobs. No, I mean, that's kind of not weird, man, but this is my stance on that. Okay, if whatever you want to do in your household, that's cool. You know, if you want to do that in your household, that's fine. Now, you may feel totally different on this. This is trash talk. Be honest, please. But when you have the mass media, when you have mass corporations that are pushing an agenda, not on adults, not on people 21 years of age, but pushing something on children that they're not fully aware of yet. To me, that just seems a little weird, man. And guys, I'm all for what you guys want to do, but don't push it on the masses. If you want to raise your kid to be a certain way, that's fine. Do that in the household. We're going to get to the gender specific thing, but one thing I want to say is, do you remember back in the day when Target had the thing to where it was basically transgender rooms? Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah, they had the big debate, and Target decided to make their bathrooms non-gender specific, and there was this, apparently a big bearded guy decided he needed to walk into the female bathroom.
Bro, listen to me. You listen to me right now. I don't have any kids, okay?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, now you can feel me on this. Feel me on this now. You have a daughter. In her eyes, she is the princess of the world. You know, she walks around the house. She's got her tutu on. She's daddy little princess, right?
Yeah.
Now, hey, babe, you want to go get a Barbie from Target? Yeah, let's go get one. She goes to use the bathroom. She walks in there in her pretty little princess outfit. You can't tell her nothing. She's the queen of the world. She goes in that bathroom, and Frank.
Yeah, I'm not in on this one.
No, Frank from the hardware store is in the bathroom.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, it's weird, huh?
It's definitely weird, dude. And I'm sorry I don't have any kids, man, but if I'm there,
it makes you want to snatch him out of there.
Oh, it will happen.
Yeah.
It will happen.
Exactly. I mean, I'm all for, people. I do have an open mind, and it took me a while to come to grips with people who are apparently non-binary. Yeah, trans.
What is non-binary?
Non-binary is where they do not choose a specific gender, where, they could consider themselves fluid gender, or, man, it goes way beyond that.
Dude, you got to explain this to me.
What do you want to know?
Okay. I'm just, all right, man. When y'all call me old school, I know some of y'all are going to hate this, but this is trash talk. This is our podcast. If you don't like it, you hit that unsubscribe button. But I'm going to say what I want to say, damn it.
Please don't, though.
No, we want you to subscribe, likes, thumbs up, comment, all that good stuff. But I got to be real, man. And I'm sure the majority of Americans out there feel the same way that I do. When you are born, when you come out of your mother's womb, you have one or two type of genitalia.
Yeah, well, let's get into the physiology of it.
Go ahead.
If you are born, with your testicles producing more testosterone than estrogen, you are physically a male.
You are physically a male. Okay, yes. Go ahead.
But people, whether it be past lives or something is affecting a person to where they believe they are not a male or female, whatever the instance is.
Right.
Man, this is such a delicate topic.
Man,
but I have no problem with people being gay, being whatever they want to be.
Just don't push it.
Just don't force it upon
on the next
others.
Person.
Yes.
That's
with your kids, let them be who they're going to be.
This is my thing, bro. When it comes to the children, there's something that every child has that's called a prefrontal cortex.
Yes.
What that is basically it's right here in the front of your brain. Mm-hmm. That doesn't fully develop in males until the age of 18 to 21. With females, I want to say it's between the ages of 16 and 21.
Mm-hmm.
Don't push something on a child to where their prefrontal cortex isn't fully developed. So you're basically, as crazy as this sounds, you are basically brainwashing this child.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, now don't get me wrong, because listen, y'all. Me personally, I believe that when people are, I believe that you're born gay. Either you're born gay or you're not gay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the reason I believe that is because I know gay people, and they tell me that. They say, hey, I was born this way.
I struggle with that, though. Man, is it nature or nurture? I mean, are they actually born gay, or is it something that happens to them in their childhood that pushes them in that direction?
That's interesting.
Because,
man,
like you're saying, with the prefrontal cortex forming,
right,
something that could happen could affect that forming, just like you're saying.
Right.
So it could be something that pushes them.
Like a traumatic event.
Yes, exactly. I mean, the same way, if you take a child who grows up in a household with a drunk father, she is more likely to end up with a drunk husband.
Or to be an alcoholic.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that too. Or, if her dad beats up on her mom, she's more likely to be in an abusive relationship further down the line.
Right.
So is it nature or is it nurture?
Dude, I don't know. I'm not gay. I know gay people.
Yeah.
Now, and what they tell me is I was born this way. So who am I to tell them, no, you're not? If you are gay and you tell me you're born that way.
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
It makes me wonder, though, are they really? Or, were they born that way? But then, they could very well be. It could be like with the transgenders.
Right.
It could be that they were a male in their past life and there's still this element hanging over.
But who's to say there's a past life?
Me. Right here.
You believe in reincarnation?
Yeah.
All right, so let's go into that topic. I mean, I understand what you're saying. You're basically saying in their past life, little Jenny might have been Carlos in her past life.
Yes.
Now, when Jenny's born, she still has the characteristics, the mannerisms, and the traits of Carlos.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now to someone who doesn't believe in reincarnation, what would you tell them?
That Well, if they don't believe in reincarnation, then that whole theory is out the window. I mean, then you just have to ask them, is it nature or nurture? Because, if they believe, strictly in Christianity beliefs or, most religions that
Right.
you only have one life, unless you're a Buddhist or something, but
Which has multiple lives.
yes.
Now, I can't necessarily agree with you on that, Smokey. Larry, you're my dude.
As far as reincarnation?
Not necessarily the reincarnation thing, but more so the nature or nurture thing.
Okay.
Now, with me, it's like, okay, growing up, my dad wasn't around.
Yeah.
My mom, I was raised with women,
Yes.
Being raised with women from 0 to now,
Mm-hmm.
I like women, there's not a homosexual bone in my body to the
And you saw your parents together and
in the later years, but
Yeah.
like you said, being in the younger years, you could see a child that had a drunk father.
yeah.
I didn't see that. In my case, I just had mama, auntie, grandmama.
Yes.
So growing up, it's not like, oh, I see mommy wearing a skirt, I see daddy walking around in skirts. I didn't have a daddy to see him walk around in skirts. I saw mama walking around in skirts, but me being born a man with testicles and testosterone, I know that's not where I need to go, I guess. I mean,
There's also cases that you could probably point to. Now, let me give this disclaimer that I have an open mind, and I'm not saying any of this is fact. Not even reincarnation. I'm not saying any of this is fact. I don't know. These are just ideas that I have, and I'm just throwing it out there to see what others may think, what you may think.
right.
Now, if, like, let's say a kid, I don't know, gets beat with a shoe and he has a shoe fetish later on in life.
That's a proven fact.
Okay. So why can't that happen with a kid that, let's say this boy grows up with only a mother and he's basically only seen his mother? So that would be nurture pushing him toward the feminine side.
Huh. That's an interesting. I can see where you're going with that. I can see where you're going, but I mean, it's. I guess you have to take it case by case, man, because you look at some of the most dominant football players, some of the dominant UFC fighters, some of the dominant boxing fighters.
Yeah.
A lot of them were just raised by mama, auntie, grandma.
Yeah.
And there's not a feminine bone in their body. Now, don't get me wrong.
I've seen big jacked up dudes that are feminine.
I'm sure.
I mean,
I'm sure
genetics play a part in how big and bad they're going to be.
Yeah, but what's the ratio? Do you see more big jacked up men?
Depends on if you're in prison or not.
Well, we're not in prison, sir. So
on the street, yeah.
See, now we could talk about that too, man. But basically, what I'm saying is just whatever y'all want to do in the privacy of your own home, whatever you want to do at home, whatever you want to do within your tight knit circle, that's cool. Do that, but keep it in the house, man. Don't push it on the agenda. Don't push it on the masses. Don't try to make me believe what you want to.
Exactly. And we're not going to try to force you to believe any old fashioned that a man has to be with a woman. At all. Or God's gonna cut your penis off.
No, look, whatever floats your boat or finds your lost remote. If that's what makes you happy, as long as you're not out there hurting people, do what you got to do, man.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I'm a libertarian, so do what you got to do.
See,
whatever you got to do to get by.
With me though, man, it's just y'all can hate me. I don't care. I'm not against gays. I'm not against transgender. I'm not against those people.
No, I have some good friends that are.
Dude, back in the day, one of my coolest homegirls was the dykest chick you will ever meet.
Yeah.
Coolest chick in the world.
Yeah.
All right, now
I knew some.
Let's talk about this. Now, I don't think men being born gay, I don't think that's a choice. I think they're born that way.
Yeah.
But with women, I think it's different.
How? Why? Why, if one can be that way, the other can't? What's the difference?
Dude, this is gonna be a controversial podcast right here, bro.
We're already in the controversy here.
I look at it like a woman. Okay, going by the Bible, a man has two jobs on this earth. Your job as a man is to protect and to provide. Those are your only two jobs. Now,
that's not the popular decision these days. I mean, a lot of people still live by that.
Right.
But you can't, with this day and age of social justice warriors, you can't point out that that's a man's job.
That's what man, I feel like people
equality.
Dude, people are so sensitive now, man. Dude, one of the funniest comedy specials I remember back in the day was Eddie Murphy, bro.
Yeah.
Now, this is in the 1980s.
Yeah.
Eddie Murphy would say some of the craziest homophobic slurs you could possibly think of.
Yeah.
That shit was funny.
It was.
Now, in the 80s, people didn't make such an uproar of, I'm offended.
Yeah, exactly. Well, comedy was comedy. It was, you didn't get offended at comedy back then.
So what changed? What made people get so offended now? And gender and race and what is it? What made it?
The social justice warrior era, man. It's, you want to say millennials, even though we're millennials,
yes,
technically.
We're millennials, guys.
Yeah. I don't know, man. There's this shift in public opinion.
Right.
That happened somewhere around the late 2000s, early 2010s.
Now, I want to tie this all the way back. Do you think that could be a case of the Mandela effect? To where at some point the parallel universe,
the public mind state shifted?
Basically, to where
it could be. We're in a different dimension where that is not tolerated anymore, and there's this old mind state that still comes through every now and then and gets chastised for it. I mean, comedy, there was this documentary type deal talking about comedy and how people are offended by comedy these days, even though it's just jokes.
It's a joke.
And people are basically taking themselves too serious, man.
Man, I don't know what it is, and this is just me speaking as a man, me speaking as an individual. Again, I love my mama to death. My mama always told me, no one can piss you off, no one can make you mad without your consent.
Yeah.
Whatever you say, if I don't give you the consent to make me angry, if I don't give you the audacity or whatever you want to call it to upset me or put me in an uproar, I'm basically giving you the privilege of making me mad.
Yeah. And at some point along the way, it became popular to be offended. And I think that's why we have this big pushback from like the Trumpers, and the asshole culture that has came out, recently, and people that are offended by the word offended and triggered by the word triggered.
Guys, it's so crazy. You can't even say retarded anymore.
No, and that's retarded.
You can't say retarded, man. Like, I think they call it mentally disabled.
Yeah.
But, man, I don't know. It's some kind of change within the human brain that I feel.
And it doesn't have to be malicious.
No, not at all. Absolutely
not. Jokes are jokes. They don't have to be malicious. But people have an obsession with being offended.
Right.
And it's a decline of culture, I think. Are you comfortable with talking about your political status? Yeah, I'm a libertarian.
You're a libertarian?
Yes.
Are you for Democrats?
Some of them.
Are you for Republicans?
Some of them, not the majority of them on either side.
Are you comfortable talking about our president?
Yeah. He's an asshole.
Look,
I mean, he does some good things, though. I'm not afraid to admit it. I know some people just hate the thought of him.
Of Donald Trump.
But I'll admit when there's some good points to him.
Name one.
For one, shutting down the individual mandate for the health care.
Explain.
you know, during the Obama presidency, he had this big plan for Obamacare, and we were all going to get free health care. Like, we were going to step into the 21st century, and be on par with the other first world countries, like every other first world country in the world.
Right.
We could have free health care. Government pays for health care. Government takes care of its people.
Right.
So Obama had that plan, right? And due to our political bureaucracy, their political process, it became this big glorified insurance program. And it was completely retarded.
Now, what I heard about that is what Donald Trump did is basically take what Obamacare was, took the name off of Obamacare, and just added a new name to it. So it's basically the same thing what Obamacare was, but just added a new name to it.
Well, there's still, the Affordable Health Care Program.
Right.
But he got rid of the individual mandate because that is anti-liberty at its core. Because you cannot, as a government, force your people to buy something. And that's what they were doing. They were basically saying, you buy our healthcare
or you suffer.
Yes, or some healthcare, or we're going to tax you. We're going to charge you for it. We're going to punish you for not buying our healthcare.
I'm not on camera. I'm not going to say if I'm for or against Trump, but you want to hear the conspiracy mind in me?
Go for it.
This is the conspiracy I have. Do you know any black people that are supportive of Trump, that are full support? Do you know any black people that are out there supportive for Trump? Personally,
no, but I've seen them.
Do you know any personally?
Nah.
Okay, this is my conspiracy theory. I think this is just a conspiracy. I'm not going to say if I'm for Trump. I'm not going to say if I'm against Trump. But with me, I feel like the conspiracy is, what if the past presidents were so bad, so we were talking about Reagan bringing in the drugs, or Clinton, with,
at the same time while having the Just Say No program.
Exactly. I mean, it's reverse propaganda almost. But all these past presidents were terrible. I mean, did terrible things. Now, the conspiracy mind of me is, now we finally do get one good president. The one good president out of the past that were shitty. He's the one that's actually, I want to put money into the poor people's pocket. I want to help the poor. Now, trust me, it sounds crazy, but this is the conspiracy in me. We finally get one good president, and now the media comes out and says, he is such a monster. He does this. He does this. He's sexist. He's racist. He's all these things, because he's finally the one president
that is operating outside of the system.
Exactly. Now this is just a conspiracy. I don't know if it's real. I don't know if it's true, but this is how I don't trust mainstream media. Maybe this guy is for the better of the American people, and the media and the powers that be, the Rothschild, don't want that. So what they're doing is trying to basically paint a derogatory picture towards this president. What do you think of that?
I think it's possible. I don't know from his actions that I can personally say that he is for the people. I mean, in ways, he is a rich, entitled crybaby.
Okay.
But he has done things to piss off the government that I like, because he hasn't been afraid to say whatever the hell he's thinking at any given time. And even if his own party doesn't agree with it, he's not afraid to
say it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now I'm not going to say I'm for Trump, but is it possible that the things that you're hearing him say, is it possible that the media is just, that's what they want you to hear?
Yeah.
They want you to hear him say, grab her by the pussy.
Yeah.
They want you to hear to say, build a wall. But
yeah,
they're blocking out. What if he goes to these places and he's saying, I'm for this and I'm for helping put money in poor people, but they're not showing you that.
Yeah, they're not going to broadcast that.
Exactly.
the good points because they need to demonize him.
Exactly. This is all conspiracy.
I mean, yeah, you may be right. I mean, the only portrait any of us have of him is what the media tells us about him.
That's why I don't trust mainstream media.
Yeah. I mean, I can't say personally that I like him, but like I said, you know, I mean, I can't name a president that I was all for on any of them.
Yeah. Now, I said I'm not going to say if I'm for or against Donald Trump. I just want to say, guys, no, I'm not a Trump supporter by any means, by any stretch.
I'm not either.
But I'm also not a Hillary supporter.
Me either.
Now, as crazy as it sounds, I'm going to predict the future. Y'all ready for this? Donald Trump will get a second term.
Oh, yeah.
You think
that's
so?
Inevitable, yeah.
Yeah.
And the more backlash, the more fighting, the more screaming, the more crying, the more throwing stones that the people do, is the more ensuring that we will have a second term.
Guys, this is the world that we live in.
Yeah.
From the bottom of our hearts, we're going to go ahead and put a bow on all this, guys. First of all, we talked about everything from the Mandela effect. We talked about everything from Donald Trump to, you know, we covered a vast spectrum of everything, you know, the gender specific, the gays, the transgenders. These are just our opinions. We're not going to necessarily say that we stand by these things. You know, fuck that. I stand by everything I say.
Oh, yeah. I'm not going to say it if I don't believe it.
Absolutely. I stand by.
And I will tell you when I'm not sure on something.
I will give you credit for that. You had, when we were talking about the flat earth, you looked at me like, bro, you're fucking crazy. Excuse my language, guys. But anyway, guys, we want
Bro, you're crazy.
Listen, guys, we want to thank you so much for coming back and joining us at the third episode of the Trash Talk Podcast. Again, guys, please go to the comments, give us that like, give us that share, subscribe.
I'm begging you.
We need that, guys. Eventually, we've been getting really good positive feedback, but eventually we're going to set up a Patreon to where we can, you know, if you guys want to donate and help us out, get some new microphones, a new computer, I really, really need
it. Will just improve the show and better your entertainment.
A lot. I really need a new hard drive, guys. So it's Christmas coming up. I just want to say happy holidays to everybody. Happy Hanukkah.
Merry Christmas, though if I'm not allowed to say that. Merry Christmas.
No, you are allowed to say that.
Okay.
Merry Christmas. Anyway, guys, this is the third episode of the Trash Talk Podcast. Once again, my name is Behringer Hollywood Bonds. I got my co-host, Larry Cowan.
And I love you.
He loves you. Guys, we are over and out.